what brought me to the Hope Project was a realization that I had not dealt with the trauma that I have endured in my life, and that trauma was causing inappropriate emotional responses, and I was acting out against people in my life, and especially in my marriage. I don't know if it's what you want me to say, but the honest truth of it is I had a desire to be a better bedroom wife because there were so many triggers. And my husband's not equipped to deal with all of that. He's not. And I've had a lot of perspective changes in the past year that have just resurfaced a lot of those feelings and emotions. And so when it was destroying my marriage, I knew that I had to do something. And I've known about the Hope Project for a long time, through knowing some of the people that work here. And I honestly was approached by an employee, but the employee said, what you've been through is the people that we serve. We can help you. And the very first thing that I thought would be helpful is counseling. And the fact that that's something that the Hope Project offers, and it's also something that I can't afford myself, has been life-changing, really.
How so? It's okay if you don't want to share.
I do.
Okay.
It was really important to me to find a counselor that could hear my story and not be traumatized after. Because there are a lot of counseling options available. There are counseling pastors at my church. But that's not my story, and the depth and breadth of it is not something I want to inflict on another human being just to hear it, because it tends to traumatize them. So the fact that I could go to a place and speak to a qualified person and know that when I left the room, it wasn't going to be the worst story that she ever heard. I was not going to give her nightmares. That gave me the freedom to be more open and to share that story so I could get into the mess and deal with that trauma instead of just saying, you know what, I'm fine. It's been so long, I'm just fine. Because I really wasn't fine. I was just choosing to bury it broken. So through this whole process, we've been digging and we've been ripping that open. But when we find each one of those pieces, we fix them. We fix them. And then we just replant them. And I'm growing a beautiful garden now, a beautiful garden of wonderful things that I could never have done myself. I need a professional to help me walk through that. And that's what the Hope Project provides me with. So if you think that opening up to a counselor, a paid professional, is challenging, imagine trying to make friends or meet new people. It's not the story you lead with. Oh, by the way. And the things that have happened to me, they're not common in the circles that I've traveled. So what's been phenomenal Let me back that up. Because of that, it creates a very isolating experience. You feel so alone. Because not only is it this great trauma and these great experiences that you've been through that have just torn you apart, but even when you make a new friend, you can't burden them with that. So you can't talk about it. Who do you process that through with? Who do you get to tell? I mean, oftentimes it's still too much of a burden for my husband. So who do I get to be in a room with that knows what I'm going through? And what is amazing about the support group is that when I walk into that room, I'm going to cry again, I'm sorry. I know that I'm surrounded by women who have endured the same things that I have. They're facing the same struggles that I am, and we don't even have to talk about it sometimes. We just know. We just know. So being in a room with people where you can let your guard down, you don't have to pretend anymore. You can be real. You know they're not going to judge you. They're going through exactly the same thing. I no longer feel alone in this. I feel like I have an entire group of women that are rooting for me and cheering me on, because every time they do, I'm doing the same for them. And that's an incredible feeling. That's so emotionally boosting. I wouldn't give it up for nothing. As our world goes on, the things that have happened to me have become more normal, more acceptable, more commonplace. Which means that when I'm looking around at the world and I see young girls making some of the same mistakes and choices that I did, I just see more victims, more potential for victims. And there has to come a point where we can stop that. We need to change the world. The only way to do that is to get our message out, to educate people. And all of that is done through financial means. We have to be able to pay people like the ones that work here at the Hope Project. We have to be able to pay those counselors that can heal me. We have to be able to pay for those things so that we can heal these girls. We can heal me.
Nicely said. Do you think your life would be different right now if you never found the Hope Project?
Yes. I think my life would be very different right now if I did not find the Hope Project. I honestly believe that I would be divorced. I think my husband would have just given up and left me. I was so broken, and I had no tools to make it better. I don't think I would be confident the way that I am now, because knowing that I have so many people in my corner really gives me a boldness every day. And I appreciate that. I have known for many years, Sarah, that I did not endure these things for nothing. And I can tell you all the way down to the wicks of my toenails that the reason that I endured these things is to be able to share my testimony, to give God the glory one day, which is why it doesn't scare me, which is why I'm always bold in sharing what I've gone through. Because the purpose of it is, one, to help others, of course, to show them that they can be fixed too. If he's willing to salvage me, oh please, you and your road rage, you'll be just fine. He can fix that. So I've just always known that one day, somewhere, somehow, I don't know how big, I don't know how small, but I feel this story inside of me. I feel it. And I know he's going to bring it out in his time.
I believe that.
We have a tendency in our culture, in our society, to make everything fit into a box. It's like these cookie cutter messages and that sort of stuff. And I guess I want people listening to understand that if you met me on the streets, if you met me in my workplace, if you met me in my church, you would never, ever suspect that I have endured the things that I have. I hide it well. And I just want people to be more aware that just because I don't look like their stereotype of a victim, and maybe my story doesn't fit into their little box of what they think human trafficking is, my experience is still valid. My trauma still hurts, and I still need help.